Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are painting a sunflower bouquet, so let's jump right in. Okay, so to start, I'm just gonna go through my materials. I have my Arches cold pressed watercolor paper. I have my Winsor Newton professional watercolors on my palette, my Princeton snap brushes in a size 6 and a size 12, and water, paper towel, and I also have a pencil and an eraser, and we're ready to go. Okay, so we are gonna be painting a little sunflower bouquet in a jar. So the first thing I wanna do is kind of just sketch out my jar. So I'm just gonna take my pencil and about more than halfway down, we're just gonna do kind of 2 parallel lines that are slightly curved in. You don't have to worry too much about this. If you wanna use a ruler, you can definitely do that. And just curving the bottom so slightly. We can even curve this in a bit more. Like that, and like that. And then I'm just gonna erase the lines just a bit, just so it's a bit lighter for when we paint over it. And it's just a guide of where those flowers are gonna be coming out of, okay? So a small little jar. Hopefully it looks okay. All right, and then we're gonna get right into painting. So we're gonna be painting 3 sunflowers coming out of this jar in different perspectives. So ultimately it's the same perspective, just 3 different ways. So one's gonna be facing this way, and then one facing down. So, and we're also gonna be doing 3 different colors. So the first one we're gonna do is like an orangey sunflower. And I'm just taking my size 6 brush, adding some water to this, watering it down a bit. And we are gonna be creating some kind of like wispy sunflower petals. So to do this, you're gonna do light pressure and then press down a heavy pressure, then come back up for light pressure, like that. And that's kind of a petal. You can make it a little bit thicker if you want. And you're gonna be doing the long petals on this side. So leave some white space in between because we're gonna be doing some darker petals in between. You can go into like this. Okay, and don't have them uniform, you know what I mean? Where they're all facing the same and they're straight. Have them curve a little bit, give them a bit of movement by just curving your brush. Okay, and try and keep them wet if you can. Okay, so we're gonna have some coming up this way. And then as we get closer to this side, they're gonna be small, little, short petals. And this is gonna give the illusion that the perspective is the flower facing this way. Okay. Coming down. Okay. Have some coming down like this. Okay, and then we're gonna go back in with a bit more orange. I'm just gonna wet up these petals so they can bleed nicely into the ones we're gonna do beside them. Okay, and I'm gonna just grab my orange, maybe a little bit of yellow ochre, maybe a little bit of burnt umber as well, just a little bit of brown. And we're just gonna go in between those petals. So these ones are a little bit darker and do the same kind of thing. Very loose. Okay, these are loose sunflowers. Don't feel like they have to be perfect. Like that. Okay, and if you want to grab a bit more brown and just tap a little bit of the base, just drag it in a bit. We'll do the center after. Actually, we can do it now. So we're gonna drag in some of these lines like that. And then you're gonna grab your brown. So I'm gonna start with burnt umber and I'm just gonna go around. So it's not directly touching a lot of the petals, just touching those lines that we kind of dragged in. And I'm gonna fill it in. Try to make sure you're not using a ton of water and a ton of paint for the center, because if you have a lot of water and paint on your brush, it's gonna bleed right into all of the petals and take over. And if that does happen, just mop it up with your paper towel, like press it down, and then just try again. Okay, so we got so see those little white spaces right where the center is? That's kind of what you want. You only want those little flicks touching the center, so it's not like overtaking the petals, if that makes sense. Then I'm going to grab a bit more darker brown. So I have sepia here, but you can just mix your brown with black if you want. And I'm just going to go around the edge and tap a bit like that. Okay, leave a little bit lighter like that. And if you want to grab some more orange and just kind of make it a little bit more vibrant on some of the petals, you can do that too. Then I'm going to take some sap green while it's still wet, and I'm just going to do little flicks, actually sap green and a little bit of burnt umber. I kind of want to neutralize that green a bit. And I'm just going to have some little flicks coming out like that. Okay, there we go. There's one sunflower, and you can if you want to have some coming out from here too if you want. Okay. Okay, now let's do another sunflower. We're going to do a yellow one. So let's grab some cadmium yellow, water it down a bit, and you're going to do the same thing, but you're pointing it to this side. So I'm going to start over here while it's still wet, do our short little petals. Facing this way. And then I'm going to start doing our long wispy petals, water it down a bit more. And for the in-between petals, I'm going to be using, what's it called? Yellow ochre, so they're a bit darker. Okay, but see how my petals are not all facing one way? They're not uniform. They're kind of wispy and going different directions. Just have fun with it, okay? And then I'm going to grab some yellow ochre. And I'm going to go in between and just start filling in some darker petals. Like that. And then I'm going to drag in those little lines closer to the center. So it will touch our brown after. And before we do that, I'm going to grab some of our green and just fill in kind of behind here. Get some more greenery going. We are going to have another sunflower down here. Okay. There we go. And now let's grab our burnt umber. Do our center so it's only touching those little lines, not like full petals. Again, not a lot of paint on your brush. You don't want it to overtake the petals too much. It's okay if it bleeds into them a little bit. Get our darker brown and tap a bit more. Like that. Okay. And if you want to grab a bit of orange, a bit more yellow, and darken some of this up a bit, you totally can. Okay. Like that. Okay. And then our last sunflower is going to be kind of like a deep red orange, if that makes sense. So I'm going to grab some cadmium red deep, a little bit of, what's it called? Dioxazine purple. Oopsie, that was too much. More red. Like that. Then I'm going to grab a little bit of orange. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing. This one's going to be pointing down. So I'm going to start off with these shorter petals over here, facing this way kind of. And I'm going to put some greenery behind that in this little space after. And I'm going to have these longer wispy petals pointing down. So I'm just adding more water to make some of them lighter. And then we'll go darker in between. Okay, so there's some of our lighter petals. Now more, and go darker. Really just using the shape of your brush, light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, and just flicking it different ways. And then let's bring in some of those lines for the center. Okay, and if you want to, you can always grab a bit more red. Just put it in there like that. Let's get a little bit of our green, fill in this part a bit. There we go. Have some coming out. Now let's get our center. So our burnt umber first. Like that. And then our sepia, or our dark brown with black and burnt umber, whatever dark brown you have or you can make. Just gonna tap it in there. Like so. Like that. And there are our 3 sunflowers. And now we're gonna do a little bit of greenery around too. So yeah, I want to wait for this flower to dry before we do the jar. So let's do some greenery around the top. I think I'm gonna do some fall kind of leaves. So let's get our sap green here, a little bit of burnt umber to make this like neutral kind of green, olivey green. And we can start doing some wispy little leaves like that. Okay, so just start with a little stem, and same kind of pressure that you do with the petals of these, light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, and just kind of flick them different ways. Okay, and actually go back in with some darker paint while it's still wet towards the center. Like that. Let's do another one over here, maybe smaller. Maybe one down here. And then one over here. Cute. Okay, let's get some rusty kind of orangey leaves too. So let's add some orange to this green. Make a little bit of a brown, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of this cadmium red. So we get a nice kind of rusty orange color. And we can just do some more leaves here. A little bit more orange. It's almost like a yellow ochre color. Just making some smaller ones. Like that. And I say we put some berries in this piece too. So let's do some of these deep red kind of berries. So I'm gonna grab my red and dioxazine purple mix, and I'm just gonna do some little red berries with a little bit of a white center, a little bit of white space in there. Actually, let's make it a bit orange. I'm gonna grab a bit of yellow here. Some over here. We can always change it up. Do some over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Do little spiky little tops to the berries. And I kind of do them in clusters of 3 or 5. Like that, maybe a couple over here. Okay, like that. Then I'm gonna take my smaller brush. So I'm actually using a size 2. Grab some green and just mix it with that actually. And then I'm just going to create some stems coming down and then connect the berries. And then, my hands are a little bit shaky today. And you can just do some little leaves coming off of those stems. Connect the berries. Have little leafy bits so they can come up above like that. I feel like we need some over here. So maybe I'll just start with some stems and then we can go into the berries. So you can do it either way. Start with the berries, end with the berries, whatever you like. Okay, I say we add a little bit of purple into this. So I'm gonna grab my red, a little bit of dioxazine purple, a bit more of dioxazine purple, and then a little bit of Hooker's Green Dark to tone it down. Yes, I didn't wash off my brush, I know. We're gonna do some darker purple leaves too. So I'm just gonna do a little stem like that. Just have some contrast here with some really nice dark purple leaves. I really love a nice dark plum in fall bouquets. I think it's so beautiful, especially for like leaves. And one down here. Like that. Just wherever you think they should be placed. Trust your instincts. Like that. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. Now I want to do the jar, and I think I'm just gonna do it a really light wash of Payne's Gray, just to have it kind of like a clear color. So I'm just watering my Payne's Gray down, and I'm just going to go over the edge, get more water, and just kind of go over and around the shape of the jar. A little bit of red on my brush, that's fine. Okay, make it a little bit darker at the bottom, make a little water line inside, and I'm just gonna kind of randomly add some water. Not all over, just kind of, I don't know, with a dry-ish brush. Grab a bit more Payne's Gray, a bit more. Go a bit darker around the sides here, do like a little water line maybe. And then we're gonna grab some of our green. So then while it's still wet, we're gonna just do some stems coming in the jar, and some parts of the stems will bleed. I'm actually gonna do it a little bit lighter because we don't wanna completely see it. We're just having a little bit of green in that jar, and I might even grab a bit more what's it called? Payne's Gray, just to show that there's some kind of stems in the jar. I don't know if I even like that. It's all good. Do I like it? I don't know. Nope, I don't. So I'm just gonna blend it all together. And then I think I'm gonna take up some of that color. It's all good. We're just gonna keep it Payne's Gray. I've decided. There we go. Wasn't a fan of the stems in there. It's all good. See, we all make mistakes sometimes and we fix them. And grab a little bit more Payne's Gray. And it can just be like an opaque jar. How about that? Okay. Because this is a loose painting, we can even get a bit more shadow underneath the flower here. Just adding a little bit of darkness to the top here. like that. And there we go. There is your sunflower bouquet in a jar. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram and Facebook for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.